Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Bee and I'm the Moon Lodge Mystic, and I'm here to bring you a little trick or treat Halloween reading. I wanted to do something that was specifically structured around shadow work this time around, and what I've done is I'm making a spread where we're going to draw one card to represent how your shadow is showing up in your life, particularly in a way that is tricky, basically, and something where an area where maybe you really struggle with your emotions or habits or behaviors or something like that. And then we're drawing another card to represent the inner child desire that's behind this shadow projection type of dynamic. And then we're going to have some oracle cards drawn to help you to kind of point towards tools and advice and guidance that is available to help you integrate this shadow part of yourself into your conscious awareness so that you can stop tricking yourself. And so I've prepared the piles ahead of time, and we have crystals on each pile. This one is rose quartz, and this one is citrine, and then this one is a clear quartz heart. Hello, just wanted to give a quick disclaimer. This is a general reading for entertainment purposes only. Watching my content does not constitute an advisory relationship such as therapy or legal counsel. I am not a certified medical or therapeutic professional, and my readings do not constitute professional advice. My readings are for confirmation of what you already intuitively know for yourself, not to get answers from me. General readings like this are like forecasting the weather for the entire planet. I can say that it is summer in the northern hemisphere, but summer looks very different from region to region, so please use your best judgment, take what resonates and leave the rest. And now let's get back to the video. Thank you. And I'm just going to go through a simple guided meditation to prepare for the pile selection. And the background music is provided by a great friend of mine, Field Wave Audio, and I'm linking his channel in my description below. And now let's begin the guided meditation. Close your eyes, and we're going to take 3 big inhales, inhaling on the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and again, in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. And now that you have taken your deep breaths and centered into your seat, I'd like for you to return to normal breathing and just visualize yourself sitting where you are, and be aware of the soles of your feet touching the earth. And from the soles of your feet, visualize, sense, and feel vibrant roots bursting from the soles of your feet and burrowing into the ground, where you can feel the warmth and dense moisture of the soil deep within the earth. Feel these roots become compressed by the weight of the earth and the soil in the ground. And through this connection with the earth, you are being held and grounded and securely attached to the ground. And then breathe in and feel that breath enter through the soles of your feet and travel up your legs and torso and through your head and out through the crown of your head. And then again, this time, visualize white light coming from the core of the earth, in through the soles of your feet, through your entire body, and then exhaling out through the crown of your head. And this creates a shell of white light around your whole body, where you become a seed that has rooted into the gentle and loving earth. And now from the crown of your head sprouts a flower, or a green sprout, or maybe even a little sapling of a tree. And it's reaching out into the sky and absorbing all the sunlight energy that comes down to earth and nourishes and rejuvenates us. And really breathe that in. And then one more deep inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. And then begin to invite some gentle movement into your awareness. Maybe wiggle your feet and toes. And gently open your eyes to the room around you. And focus on the cards before you. And select what pile you feel most drawn to. And you might be drawn to multiple piles, and that's okay. And you might be drawn to no piles, and that's also okay. And if that is the case, then it simply means that there isn't a message here that's for you. And that's perfectly fine. But now that we've gone through that meditation exercise, I will see you at your piles. You may check the timestamps or the chapters below, and I'll be right back. Hi there, pile 1. So you have selected the rose quartz, and this is going to be your reading. So let's look at the cards. For this card, we have, how is your shadow showing up in your life in a way that's kind of tricky for you? And we have the Queen of Wands. And then the inner child message, what is really calling out for acknowledgement and acceptance, we have the Page of Coins. And what I'm getting from this is pile 1, you may feel a strong need to really prove yourself, to be recognized by others as successful and powerful. And when you engage in your passions, there's competitiveness there. And And, you know, I see this lioness, she's so powerful and she really wants to win the prize, basically. You know, these are the huntress of the lion prides. They go out hunting and they're the ones bringing home the bacon. So very self-reliant, very much wanting to win on the success of their very own merits. And with the Page of Coins here, what I'm seeing is sometimes there's a part of you that wants to just be able to play. Ooh. Just for the sake of playing and exploring and doing crafty things with your hands, touching, something very tactile. And this child sometimes wants to just be allowed to do that without it having to become a performance or a competition where they have to measure up to a certain standard for it to be okay. They just want to be able to explore freely. That's what I'm seeing. And then the oracle card we have is Influence. And then we have the Squirrel, Spiritual Maintenance, Be Your Own Caretaker. And then we have Giraffe, the Bigger Picture, Take a Step Back and Gather Your Thoughts and Feelings. And then I think I'd like to look at the booklet for this oracle card, so I'll be right back. So here we have Influence, Earthly Meaning, Balance imagination and reality. Be cautious of giving undue influence to baseless assumption. Distinguish between opinion and evidence. Become aware of false limitations. Put real effort into proving a doubt or fear wrong. Be open to new ideas and perspectives, but do your homework and ensure a claim can hold true in practice as well as theory. Spiritual meaning. Only through the eyes of the soul can the true nature of your life, existence, and purpose be known. All of life flows from the one divine heart of creation. You have a purpose, a meaning, and a role to play in this great journey of life. It may be beyond the knowing of the physical world, but it is not beyond the knowing of your soul. Insight. Imagine boarding a sea vessel and setting off for a grand adventure into the great unknown. You have a fantastic crew, plenty of supplies, and you are looking forward to encountering countless new sights and sounds. You may return home with tantalizing tales. Perhaps you will find a pristine paradise to call home. There is a great world of possibility awaiting you, and you are ready to embrace whatever comes your way. But how different would this journey be if you thought the world was flat? If every night you went to sleep worrying you might slip over the edge, never to return, how would it change your outlook? What would you do differently? Would you dare leave sight of familiar shores? Believing the earth was flat wouldn't make it so, but it would create false limitations and influence everything about your journey. Likewise, believing you are unworthy, unlovable, or incapable doesn't make it so. Be conscious of the thoughts, opinions, and values that are influencing your journey. So something that kept coming up for me while reading that and looking at these cards was, you know, I thought of the Page of Coins, and I also kept hearing like, not enough. And I kind of wonder if there was a period in your childhood where maybe you went through financial scarcity, or you maybe were put down, your passions were put down as like, oh, that's never going to make you money or something like that. And as a result, you really feel like you have to give something a really like your maximum possible effort to a way that's actually quite detrimental to you, and you become, like we said, this competitiveness. Competition, a competitive mindset is inherently scarcity based, right? Because it comes from this idea that there's a limited amount of resources to go around for everyone else. So there's a limited amount of fame, a limited amount of views, a limited amount of money, a limited amount of success that is reasonable to be obtained by everybody. And so when you approach life like, I have to control and work and really push myself to be the best, or else I'm not going to get anything, that's really just reinforcing a scarcity type of mindset, and it becomes in itself a limiting belief. And it limits your ideas of what's possible. There are lots of different ways that success can show up for people. And when you move away from this idea like you have to push and force success to happen, that is when things start to, when you create space for things to surprise you, for things to happen in unexpected ways. And this is something that I relate to is, you know, there's like this strong desire to be that person where something really unexpected or crazy or miraculous happens to you, and yet the way you are approaching life is in this boxed way of thinking that like, oh, I have to do things this way in order to make it happen. Well, then that's like kind of it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? That you will never be the type of person that a miracle can happen to, because you have already decided for yourself that miracles don't happen for you, and as a result you have to be this way. So that's kind of what I got out of that. We have the giraffe and the squirrel, which are kind of really contrasting characters, right? The squirrels, they're very, very small, and giraffes are very, very tall. So I feel like there's kind of a polarity going on here, and yet they're the same elements here on the cards. Let me look at this a bit. It's very easy to become like the squirrel, you know, being really preoccupied with making sure that you are gathering resources and scurrying and hoarding things away. Because squirrels, they gather their nuts and then they put them in the ground and then they come back for them later. So maybe you find yourself kind of doing that, whether it's with ideas or whether it's with money. And the giraffe here is kind of like asking you to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, because, you know, you're so focused on all this gathering and squirreling away that you don't see the world and how much abundance is really available at all times. Like, it doesn't need to be hoarded. There are ways that that your needs can be taken care of without having to become so focused on like micromanaging your resources. Yeah, when I look at this dove, I really think of a woman who's just, she's holding this dove, and the dove really represents a kind of peace and serenity with the way things are, and being able to find a way to love yourself even if you're not in a constant state of achieving your desires, basically. All right. So let's see. We've also got some self-care cards, and you've got Be Still. And then you've got Sync with the Moon. And then for an affirmation, we have, I accept all of myself. The work I do on myself is not a goal. It is a process, a lifetime process. I choose to enjoy the process. This is one that I personally get stuck with a lot. And if you are like a very Queen of Wands person, you can become so goal-oriented, like I have to be achieving, I have to be achieving. And when you're in that constant state, it's like, you know, the underbelly of that is that you feel that you're not enough, or that, you know, you start punishing yourself for not being where your vision is. But you know, if you think about it, that becomes so, it's a little silly, right? It's like you have your vision of how you'd like your future to look, and then you're mad that it's like not already there. But the vision is there to give you something to travel towards. I don't know if I'm making too much sense, but you know, think of your visions not so much as like, or your goals as like helping guiding you onto a path. Not so much about like, I need to be there, and if I'm not there, then I'm not succeeding, right? The work I do on myself is not a goal, it is a process, a lifetime process. I choose to enjoy the process. I think this is going to be really helpful for you if you have a hard time being able to just play and explore and feel secure in the present moment without turning it into a rat race type of thing. And in terms of your self-care cards, we have Sync with the Moon, which this could just be like rhythms, introducing rhythms into your life. Now, you can't be on and achieving and growing and accomplishing 24/7. You do need periods of rest and just doing nothing. Those moments are really important to help you integrate the things that you're doing, right? Like you can constantly be doing self-improvement work, and it's really easy to get caught up in a state of constantly doing that. But if you never take a break from it, like there's no way for all that information to kind of settle into your mind. It just is constantly being worked on, and things that are constantly being worked on don't transition into the more long-term memory base. So it becomes hard to habituate all that work that you're doing if you never take time to rest from it. And with Syncing with the Moon, you might consider, you know, allowing more rhythmic activity into your life. And the way I'm thinking of that is, you know, one way you might be is that like, I have to do things a very particular way and achieve this list of things every single week, and that I have to do that every single week. Well, maybe there are some areas where you can be a little flexible with that. Like maybe you don't have to like clean and do all of the chores every single week. Maybe there are some weeks that you have the energy to do those things, and so you do them. And on the weeks where you don't have the energy to do those things, you find something else that's more compatible with the energy that you're in right then. So if you're feeling like you don't have the energy to be working, you know, and I know a lot of us don't have the luxury of being able to just work whenever we want or not want. If you work a regular 9-to-5 job, obviously you have to go to work. But I mean, in your off time, like maybe not pushing yourself so hard to be achieving even in your off time, because come on, you've achieved during your work week. You went to work, right? You don't need to also constantly be working when you're off the clock. So it can be good to just kind of read the energy where you're at for the day and kind of decide what you're going to do based on that. If you're feeling inspired and you have a lot of vitality available to you, then do something that you're really passionate about. And if you're feeling more like it's hard to feel that way, you're lacking motivation, you're tired or something like that, then give yourself permission to rest and to just be still and to not have to be creating or producing for just that day at least. And eventually your motivation and your passion and energy will return to you eventually. And pile number 1, that is all I'm seeing for you. Try and take care of yourself. Don't get too caught up with trying to make yourself glow and be glorious and everything like that. You're already glorious. You don't have to compete with everyone else to be that way. And sometimes you can just play just for the sake of playing. It doesn't have to be in service of some important goal that you feel like you need to achieve. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hi Pile 2, welcome to your pile. You chose the citrine, and this is your reading. So first we're going to start out with a card that represents your shadow and how it's showing up in your life. And for you, we've got the Knight of Swords. And then the inner child part that is really craving a connection. This is represented by the Page of Cups. And starting out with these 2 cards, I really see the Knight of Swords as a really frenetic energy. This is like a motor that just keeps revving and going and going and going, and maybe even being too focused on one's thoughts and logic. So being cut off from your feelings. Now with the Knight of Swords, this is represented by what I think that's a barracuda. And I always think of this card as like a fish is just cutting through the water, just really just cutting straight through. And how this relates to the Knight of Swords, well, that's kind of like someone who really cuts through the emotions and even cuts them down and is like, this doesn't bother me, this is not relevant, you know, this. So okay, there it was. The water is not relevant to where I want to go. But the inner child here is trying to say, like, it kind of is relevant here. And, you know, maybe you have some emotions that you're not really wanting to face, or it's really hard for you to be vulnerable. Right, yes. I think that you might feel really challenged with allowing yourself to feel vulnerable around others and being able to say things like, oh, it looks like that candle just went out. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I always keep a candle lit for protection, and interestingly enough, the candle went out during your reading. While I was talking about, feeling like, well, with the candle going out right as I was saying that, maybe you were silenced as a child from being able to express your feelings, from being able to say things like, I'm hurting, or I need help, I need mom or dad to hug me or reassure me that I'm doing okay or that I'm not a bad kid. And those feelings might, well, it really hurts. You know, that's really hard to go through as a child, because of all the people on the planet that, you know, you should be able to turn to comfort you and to acknowledge and validate your feelings, that should have been your parents. And when you don't receive that type of love, you might come to resent even having feelings of vulnerability, and you might become this Knight of Swords type of person that really goes through just really acting as if the feelings, the water is not even there, is just shooting straight through that water, and it's like, nope, 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 I'm not going to be hindered by this. I'm not going to allow this to slow me down. That's the kind of things that come to my head when I'm thinking of this. And for your oracle card, we have productivity. And then for the animals that are present with you right now, we have the spider, dream weaver. Tune into the energetic grids around you. Where can you send your energy for healing? And then we have the kangaroo, courage. You are being tested. Have faith and stand in your truth. A few things came up. Kangaroos, I think of mothers instantly. And, you know, a kangaroo mother has her pouch and she's very close with her babies, but maybe you felt like you didn't get that. You may have felt kicked out of the pouch, so to speak. And when I see this being tested, have faith and stand in your truth, for me, that's like not allowing other people to disregard your emotional truth. If you tell someone, like, you know, when you did that, that really hurt me, I felt hurt, and someone counters that with like, well, I don't think that should have hurt anybody, that I didn't do anything wrong. Well, that's really dismissive, and it's really easy if you've been through this experience of being ignored for your feelings or being put down for your feelings, to take that response and to essentially gaslight yourself and be like, oh, well, maybe you're right, maybe I'm just over exaggerating, maybe I don't really hurt that much about this. And you do that to preserve the attachment that you have to this person. And we see here this child with a mother again. And we have spiders here too. Spiders are like a really archetypal, deep, primitive type of feminine energy. And so I see, when I see a spider and I see kangaroos and I see this card, I'm really feeling mother wound type energies. And right, and I see this image here, and I'm thinking of like a fruit or a womb. But what I'm seeing here is that you are under protection. Even if your earthly mother was not able to give you what you needed, you have a spiritual mother that is looking over you and protecting you. And she's kind of observing this, like, you know, you're not going to be able to hurt my child here. Let's read out of the book for this one. This is a new deck for me, so I'm learning it. So here's page 1, and then page 2. So, earthly meaning. The energy and experiences you have been handed can be converted to meaningful, life-affirming outcomes. With a little work and perspective, an obstacle will become a stepping stone. Do what you can, when you can, and make steady progress. Effort is required to transform an idea, experience, or knowing into something more solid. Once it has formed, new growth will follow. Spiritual meaning. The Divine Mother dwells in every heart. Her light is inside and all around you, for she is all that is beautiful throughout our world. She lives in every mountain, meadow, tree, and blade of grass. Her light illuminates the stars. Her wisdom guides the moons. Her brilliance flows from the sun. She is a wildflower whose perfume teases our senses to curiosity, action, and the pursuit of joyous life. Insight. Golden sunlight splashes in generous waves over our planet. More than 300,000 species of plants transform this light into growth. Branches bloom, leaves unfurl, and blossoms spring open to showcase bursts of yellow pollen. Birds, bees, and butterflies flit amongst the flowers, collecting yellow dust and carrying it ever further afield and out into the world. It is busy work. Yellow is the energy fueling the living world. Its bright flamboyance is urgent, busy, and delightfully engaging. It attracts us through beauty and goes places on the wings of those seeking the sweet nectar of life. Yellow is joyfully, generously, creatively productive. Its energy readily becomes form, which in turn blooms into a glorious celebration of itself. It is time to convert the lessons and experiences you have absorbed into life-giving creativity. Turn them into activity, into growth, and into form. There is joy in productivity. Its nectar is sweetly intoxicating, and its fruit is a mark of transformation and completeness. Very interesting. Right. So again, I feel like that kind of affirmed this mother energy that's coming out in your reading. And since this event happened that maybe left you feeling abandoned by your mother, what you can do about this, especially if you don't work with entities or spirits or anything like that, is being a mother to yourself. And you have the power here to weave your own dreams and to send your own energy towards healing this part of you that really needs a mother and being a mother to yourself. And if you have have distance from your family or your mother, this Kangaroo card I feel like is affirming that that was a good choice for you. And don't second guess yourself. Right. The yellow that was coming out in that booklet. You might be drawn to yellow, or yellow might be helpful. Oh, yeah, I just realized we had citrine here, huh? Citrine is a very yellow stone, and it's very much associated with creativity. So it might be a good time for you to work through your feelings in order to create something. Maybe write about it, or create artwork if you're an artist, or write music or something like that. Being able to do something creative will put you in touch with this feeling side of yourself, because you ultimately have to connect with your feelings to be able to create art. We have creating here with the spider, and then this Page of Cups. Yes, I think this is a good time for you to connect with your emotions, and they might be painful, but you have the strength to be able to nurture yourself and comfort yourself through those things. And now we have some self-care cards for you. We have positive affirmations, and then we have sing. So if you are a singer or a musician, this is a great confirmation that using your voice or listening to music or creating music is going to be really helpful for you. Singing especially is really great for clearing out the throat chakra. If there are things that you had to leave unsaid throughout your life because you were afraid of being rejected, or of being hindered or encumbered or held back by your feelings, this is a great time connecting with music that resonates with those feelings that you've kept pushed down is a great way to bring that out and allow it to move through your body. And then when you release negative emotions and grief and trauma, using positive affirmations is really important, because that energy that was so dense and painful, like, it leaves an open space within your energetic body, and you need to fill it back up with love, basically, is what you want generally. Otherwise, it has a tendency to get filled up with more negativity again, right? So releasing the emotions that have been difficult for you to face. Maybe you're burnt out. Maybe you're tired of working so hard, or always having to be, a certain type of way for other people. That just came out, and then I lost my train of thought. So I'm going to take that as a sign that pretty much just use affirmations to really keep yourself on track and to ensure that you're transmuting pain into love. And then for the affirmation, we have, everything I need comes to me in the perfect time. And on the back it says, I relax and enjoy life. I know that whatever I need to know is revealed to me in the perfect time and space sequence. So this can be about letting go of needing certainty, of knowing that you're going to be taken care of no matter what happens, and that you can relax. You don't have to constantly be, you don't have to be like a robot. You can have emotions, and you can feel good emotions too. When you lock away your feelings, or when you push things down, it's really hard to selectively push down feelings. So when you're trying to avoid the bad stuff, you also tend to avoid the good stuff too. So once you connect with this, you'll feel your world just kind of open up. And it's kind of like seeing in color for the first time when you start accessing those deeper emotions. And pile 2, that is all I'm seeing for you right now. I hope this was helpful, and enjoy your Halloween, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Hi, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose the Clear Quartz Heart. And let's start. This card is going to represent how your shadow is showing up in your life in a way that's kind of undermining you. And we have the Knight of Wands. With me, I got a lot of aggression out of this card. Really kind of bull in a china cabinet type of energy. And the inner child part, what they're calling out for is the King of Wands. They're being represented by that. Okay. And so I thought this was an interesting combination, because we have the Knight of Wands here representing the shadow and how it's showing up. And then the inner child behind that shadow is the King of Wands. And I think what they're really desiring is, they really enjoy the passion, but without the destruction, right? They want something that's a little more controlled. And we have a lot of fire coming out, and something that comes to me is, and I totally get being a very fiery type of person. That was That is my MO. And when you're working with fire, you have to recognize that, like, fire can easily get out of control. You can easily lose your temper or get carried away with a fire, and the fire leads to destruction. It can burn down a whole forest. Whereas when we have tempered flames, see, the salamanders, they're contained, right? This is fire in a contained form. It's not out wreaking havoc. So I feel that your inner child is kind of like, yeah, we love going, like, pursuing our passions, or, you know, feeling very enthusiastic and going for things, but also, like, we kind of would appreciate if things were a little more stable and tempered. You want a fire that is tamed, that is being steadily fed but not going out of control, more like a camp flame or a hearth. A hearth is fixed fire, whereas cardinal fire is kind of like this energy where it's just like, whoa, you know, blazing new trails and burning down things that maybe didn't need to be burned down. That's kind of what I'm seeing, is like this reactivity of like, oh, you crossed me? Well, I'm burning this bridge. Or like, you know, oh, I really want to do this thing, but I don't want to be messed with the action steps of making sure that it's being done in a very stable way, I guess is something that I would say. And the oracle card that we've got with this is context. And I found this really interesting. When I first see this card, first of all, there's even more fire coming out. But I think of context like, be aware of the context in which you're acting. You know, not every situation needs this, you know, scorched earth type of energy. Some situations need a warmth, a type of warmth that isn't scorched earth, that isn't destructive, that is more warming and nurturing. Yeah, warmth, like sun on your skin, or feeling close to somebody that you're embracing and feeling their body heat, and that gives you life that way. When you're doing scorched earth, it's like nobody can touch you, nobody can come close to you because they're going to get burned, and that's not helping you, that's not doing you favors. Even though it's kind of like, well, I want to do things this way, and I deserve respect, and I command, you know, things that be this way. Yeah, you know, I've been there, and it's just not helpful. It's not as helpful as you think it is. I also have to say that pile 3, your spiritual team kind of just really just is coming out, like, your cards spit out the fastest, and it was just like getting straight to the point type of thing. And so I feel like if my tone is a little harsh, that's the way that it's coming out, and I'm sorry if it's hitting you hard. Let's read out of the book for context. So here's what we have in the booklet. Then we have Earthly Meeting. Interpreting one piece of the puzzle is isolation leads to error. Oh, interpreting one piece of the puzzle in isolation leads to error. Avoid reading too much into something. Taking in the fuller picture will take time and effort, but it will bring the perspective required. Avoid reading too much into something. Something that immediately came to my mind was like being too quick to jump to conclusions about a person who you're feeling has trespassed your boundaries. Yeah. with this card, this Knight of Wands, I really got more of a sense of like reactivity, like aggressive hostility type of things. And hostility, you know, it's kind of like you put on a front to be like, don't mess with me. I take care of issues like that. While the King of Wands doesn't need to do all that. King of Wands doesn't need to show off how ready he is to get down and dirty. The King of Wands is pretty secure, right? He's like, I radiate confidence. This doesn't radiate confidence. A lot of us do this because we think that's what radiates confidence, but it really radiates a lot of insecurity. And this, I feel, is more about letting yourself be confident without having to be hostile. So let's continue. A flyaway comment or aside means nothing on its own. Oh, there we go. An overreaction or misunderstanding causes unnecessary fireworks. True meaning comes with broader context. I had no idea that was going to come up, so it's interesting. Spiritual meaning. There is no need to discriminate, separate, or label things as good or bad. We are one spirit, one life, one breath, living one eternal moment. I felt like someone was rolling their eyes at that. Dividing life into categories brings suffering and creates imbalance. Ours is a never-ending story, full of new beginnings and adventures. Embrace it, live it, love it, be it, invent it, create it, believe it, dramatize it, write about it, meditate on it, breathe it, be healed and invigorated by it, be joyful because of it, and above all, remember that you are it. Wow, that was a lot. But I feel like this right here is that King of Wands energy that we're trying to embody. Insight. Red sits at the end of the light spectrum and has the longest wavelength. When light penetrates water, red is the first color to be filtered out of the visible spectrum, and it is almost impossible to see in depths of 100 meters. In the deep sea, red marine life is all but invisible. The rusty red of Uluru in central Australia, Monument Valley in the USA, and the planet Mars is due to the presence of iron oxide. Likewise, blood is red due to the interaction of iron and oxygen. As red circulates in the veins of many animals, it is readily available to color their bodies for flagging danger, showing dominance, as a mark of aggression or in courtship rituals. Red mushrooms are dangerous, but strawberries are sweet. This plethora of meaning in the natural world is reflected in the human world, where red can symbolize love, anger, urgency, passion, frustration, heat, sexuality, willpower, embarrassment, and danger. Red can be outstanding or invisible. It can indicate speed or be a signal to stop. Red is a free agent with no set rules, and here reminds us to put things in context. Very interesting, the dominance and stuff. That's kind of, what I was picking up on with this. And being able to discern when to stop and when to, be all that aggression or dominating. There is a time and place for that. And the time and place is not all the time, is kind of what I'm hearing from this. And so let's get to the animals that are with you right now. We have leafcutter ant, army of life, ask for help, seek support, you are not alone. And we have panther, protection. Consider who you allow to take your energy and who you give it away to freely. All right. So within the context of what we've been talking about, reactivity, hostility, anger, this to me really spoke out. Sometimes we develop this hostile persona, because it's really like a police officer that we created within ourselves to protect ourselves, because we were abandoned and nobody came to our help when we needed it. And so we've learned to, and I'm saying we because I've gone through this myself, we learned to be aggressive and mean and hostile and domineering as a way to protect ourselves from being in a state of vulnerability where you need to ask for help. And getting past that is really challenging. It really is. And it takes a leap of faith and being able to make a conscious decision to trust others. And so that's where this discernment comes in, protection. How you respond to others in your environment is, in a way, reflective of whether or not you're protecting yourself. So not everything warrants this scorched earth type of reaction. Some things are really about considering whether or not you want to engage with people who bring that type of response out of you. Right. So just letting it go, leaf cutter, cut it off, you know? There are certain people that don't need to be in your life because they're just not the energy that you want to have around you. And that's okay. You don't have to make it work, and you don't have to like fight and struggle to make yourself respected by that person. If they're showing you that they don't respect you and they disregard your boundaries, you just cut them off. You don't get into a power struggle. Say no to power struggles. They're not fun. They just drain your energy and make you feel like crap. Whereas the other side of this is that, you know, when you allow others to provoke you, you are giving them your energy. You're letting them take your energy from you. And one way to protect yourself, you know, you might think that it's like, well, that person disrespected me and I need to teach them a lesson. Sometimes the way that you protect yourself is by not doing that, by being like, you know what, that person is so small on my radar, they don't even deserve my time of day. That's something that keeps you contained and really breathes confidence. Not everything needs your reaction. I know that's a really hard lesson to learn. And let's get into self-care. We have got beauty ritual. And then we've got connect with the earth. Grounding is really important. When you're feeling the reactivity or the urge to fight, again, it's a fight or flight response, right? And when you have this like exaggerated hostility, it's a fight or flight response. So that means that really what's happening is that you've been triggered and something in you feels scared and is worried about being hurt. And in order to realize that in the moment and be able to modulate your response to your triggers, being able to stay grounded, connecting with the earth is really helpful for that in that moment. Like maybe you need to excuse yourself from an interaction when you start noticing your anger being triggered, or like a real desire to fight and even destroy somebody. Being able to take a step away and just take a few deep breaths and ground is going to help you connect with the underlying vulnerability that this is out here trying to protect. And then a beauty ritual. I think this is just really a great way to take care of yourself and really demonstrate to yourself that you are important, you are beautiful, you're lovable. Beauty ritual. Make yourself feel good. Because if you know, I got dressed up for this reading. At first I was in pajamas and I wasn't feeling too great about it, and I was feeling kind of nervous about doing this reading, and so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna dress up so that I feel cute. So I put on my jewelry. This is a bracelet I made. I have earrings on, and I put on nicer clothes so that I felt good about myself. And then once I did that, I was able to approach this and be like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do it. And so a beauty ritual can really be helpful for restoring your confidence. And then for the affirmation, we've got, I use my words and thoughts as tools to shape my future. Life is very simple. I create my experiences by thinking and feeling patterns. What I believe about myself and about life becomes true for me. So if you have a belief that like everyone's out to get me and I need to be on guard and I need to show people that like I command respect, I deserve respect, you know, that kind of comes from a bit of a lack mindset, right? Of course you deserve respect, but being like, I need to prove this to people, I need to teach people a lesson who disrespect me, that's kind of creating a lot of discord in your reality and your perception. You start to perceive more threats when you inherently walk around feeling like I need to constantly defend myself and stand up for myself and respect myself. So basically what I'm saying is that like your warrior energy is kind of like turned up to 11, and we need to take it back down to like a 7. That's what I'm feeling. And doing these is going to help you do that. And just knowing that like you can be vulnerable with the people that are safe to be vulnerable with, and you have the ability to discern who is safe to do that with. And pile number 3, that is all I'm seeing for you. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.